And so when Moss U first, came up, I was like, this is very interesting. Sounds like an internship, right?
The whole idea of Moss U, right? It's a pipeline to bring in people with little to no experience where they're doing something, whether it be assistant project manager, junior estimator, those kind of things.
Candidates had to go out to the fields, and we're gonna kind of show them about the safety aspects about what we do here at Moss.
Yeah, working as field engineer, like I said, handling all the invoices, surveying on the project, just the day-to-day on the project. It was just a great insight, time to sit down, digest a lot of the information that's coming in, and dive deep into certain topics and stuff like that. Be able to bring those guys in, give them all the tools and resources they could possibly need to learn how this business operates and to move into a full-time role after that. To me personally, that's unheard of. I've never seen a company do something like that, and it's truly special.
Landon,
What's up, man?
how you doing today?
I'm good.
Good?
Excited to be here.
Nice. All right, so let's start off with too big to fail, Moss Utilities. We're a company that's growing, striving, not perfect by far, but damn hardworking, right?
Yeah, for sure.
One of the things that I think Garrett really likes to focus on and is people. And when I say people, is like trying to make people better people, right? And so when Moss U first, came up, I was like, this is very interesting. Sounds like an internship, right? Didn't really know what to expect. I just knew that there was going to be a safety aspect to it, to where, there was going to be a round where the Moss U candidates had to go out to the fields, and we were going to kind of show them about the safety aspects about what we do here at Moss, right? And so, a couple months later, we have Moss U candidates starting, and then there's Landon, Huddleston, right?
Yes,
So,
sir.
let's talk a little bit more about you. Where'd you go to school at, man?
Yeah, so I went to high school out in Saginaw at Boswell, and then from there I transitioned to NCTC, went to welding school, kind of realized that wasn't necessarily the fit for me. I have got some lung issues with asthma and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So doing the welding just didn't end up being the right move. So, I started looking, what can I do different? What's going to be the best fit for me? And that's when I came across LinkedIn posts that Garrett put out about Moss U and about starting a program that was going to be a new pipeline to bring in new people with little to no experience.
So originally from Fort Worth, Saginaw area, right? This is kind of like a subsidiary area of Fort Worth. It's funny you say that, Boswell, right? And the reason I say that is because I went to Saginaw. I went to Saginaw High School.
Big rivalry there.
Big rivalry, right? The wagon, right? The wagon wheel, whatever. Yep. I didn't play football. I played baseball. So we did play them in high school, played them in baseball. My cousin, she actually graduated from Boswell. Me and my sister, brother, both went to Saginaw, and we all graduated from there. My younger brother, he didn't get to graduate from there because we moved, and then that's whenever they opened up Chisholm Trail High School. Yeah. And so I don't know, it's just interesting to know that you're from that area.
Hey, let it know right now on record, Boswell's better than Saginaw. I mean, I was soccer, but we never lost to Saginaw. Just saying.
All I'm saying is that Boswell's been around for years. That's all I can say, man. Boswell's one of the first high schools that came up in Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD school district.
Yeah, I think it actually was the number one. I believe when I was there, we were celebrating the 30th or 40th anniversary. Yeah. One of the two.
And I believe Saginaw started in like 2006 or something like that. Yeah. So it hasn't been very long. Yeah. Well, that being said, you came across a LinkedIn post, came across Moss U. What were you doing at the time? Where were you working?
Yeah, so I was working for a company doing a bunch of sewage treatment plants, water plants, that kind of thing. Was kind of a field engineer there, doing a lot of the surveying, that kind of thing, invoices, stuff like that. But, one thing I noticed about that company is, I didn't necessarily feel like there was a whole lot of room to grow. So I felt kind of stagnant, wanted something else. Obviously I was younger. I was excited to go out and try to build a career, ready to go. And then went somewhere like that, and it just felt like I was very stagnant, like I wasn't getting very much movement.
Were you going to school still at the time?
Yeah, so yeah, I was transitioned out of welding and moved into construction management, working on a degree at TCC. And it really just kind of propelled me. I saw that LinkedIn post, and I was like, you know what? That sounds interesting. It sounds like something I'd be willing to do and feel like I would get a lot of benefit out of it. So, I was like, shoot Garrett a DM and just see what happens. Yeah. And lo and behold.
Yeah. But you were, I just because we've talked in the past, you were working for your dad at the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Working as field engineer, like I said, handling all the invoices, surveying on the project, just the day-to-day on the project. But at the same time, not really feeling like I was going anywhere. It was the same thing day after day. Didn't see anything developing there. Didn't see any growth really. So felt like it was time to transition out.
You needed a change.
Yeah,
needed a change. What was your first impression on the interview phase of it? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, so craziest part is I almost didn't come to the interview. I was talking to one of our PMs over there, and he said, this company's good. They're pretty flexible, this, that, trying to sell it to me. And I was this close to not going in for that interview. And I even emailed Alexis. I was like, I don't know if this is right. Timing's not lining up. Is there any way we could possibly just reschedule and just give me a little bit of time to think about it?
Yeah.
And ended up coming in for that first round of interviews. And even after that first round of interview, I was sold on Moss. I walked around, saw the people working here, saw the facilities that are operating. Obviously, we got super amazing pickleball courts, gym, personal trainer, all these amazing benefits. But I think the main thing that stuck out to me is I walked around the office and I saw people that actually looked happy about what they were doing. And that was quite surprising to me. I came from a company where people were just kind of there to be there. I mean, it was just work at the end of the day. But when you come walk around a place like this, and people are excited to be here, they're happy to be here every day, and I felt like that was something I wanted to be a part of.
The end goal. No matter what you do, where you doing it, the goal is to be happy where you're at, right?
Yeah.
If you can't be happy where you're at, that's not even worth it, right?
Yeah, I feel like the dream is, if you love what you do, you're more than willing to do it every day.
So first round comes around. How many rounds? I can't remember how many rounds they had.
So yeah, we did 2 rounds total. So that first round, met with the whole team, did the interview process, and then they gave me a tour. And when they gave me that tour, that's when I really realized that, okay, Moss is different than every other construction company. Like, they actually care about their people and the culture, and that's the main driver here. And to me, it made me feel a little bit more worth per se. I'm going to a company that actually cares about me. I'm not just a number. I'm not just a button pusher, something like that. They actually care about the person. So that meant a lot to me personally.
Yeah. So let's dive in a little bit to that next phase, right? So obviously you got chosen to be one of the candidates to come on board for Moss Utilities, right? Because it was you, D'Antoine, and I believe it was Maurice, right? And
Maurice and Kelvin as well.
And Kelvin, right? Which Kelvin was someone who already worked here. He was already working in the estimating department.
Yeah.
I think your first rotation was out in the field, right? Or technically out in the field, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I started out in the field. So
who was your first superintendent that you worked with?
Yeah, so actually the first project I got to go to was the Universal project.
Universal?
And what an introduction. That project's huge. Very high level project too, just has a lot of eyes on it given that the fact that it's a Universal Studios project. And I went out there and I was just blown away.
You didn't have any expectations, right? Like, what were you expecting?
I figured, I came from a company where we did pipe, so I just figured we were putting pipe in the ground.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But I got out there and I saw all these moving pieces and I realized, oh man, this picture's a lot bigger than just putting pipe in the ground. And, it rubbed off on me. I felt like part of a team, felt accepted. I was like,
what was your first interaction with Cristian? Because Cristian's a go-getter, man. He's like, you're not gonna catch me slipping type of guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. So I spent, even after those first few days, I started to notice that Christian's a very, very busy man, constantly taking phone calls, and one thing I noticed about him while he was taking these phone calls and talking to the supers and stuff like that, that guy is committed. I mean, he wants the best for the people that work for him or under him, as well as for the project as well. And I feel like having superintendent with qualities like that is just unreal. I mean, I wasn't used to something like that.
Yeah, because you so you build the relationship as a superintendent, right? Just kind of speaking for them, they build the relationships with the foreman, right? They build relationships with the field guys, especially Christian, right? Because he comes from the ground, right? He knows the labor work, all the way up, right?
Yeah.
So being a superintendent, that kind of, and now general superintendent, right? He knows what it takes to be what they are, right?
Yeah,
And building those relationships with them and as well with the general contractors, right?
Yeah.
That general contractor, it's not an easy general contractor, right? Balfour they're a top-notch general contractor, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, he's one of the guys that have dedication, right? Dedication, hard work. They're day in, day out, late days, early mornings type of guy, right?
Yeah, and I mean, to talk about commitment, we were out there, one of my first days out there, we were out there installing some duct bank, and the crew that we were working with was short and operate. I don't know if it was because he was sick or they let him go, one of those two things, not too sure. But Christian did not hesitate to hop in that excavator and start digging that trench to help out his crew, to help out the project stay on schedule, stuff like that. And, that spoke volumes to me. I mean, not every day you see superintendents being able to humble themselves to go out and actually do some of the field work instead of just supervising and helping out the foreman. And so seeing something like that, I mean, it made me feel good about the company I went to. These guys are committed. They're willing to do anything and everything to keep a project on schedule and successful. I mean, and that just, like I said, spoke volumes to me.
How long were you on that project for with Christian?
I would say probably about a month or so. And throughout that whole month, I mean, obviously you see the project develop and the guys working with each other. And yeah.
Did you have any doubts about the program at that time, or were you all in, this is what I want to do?
For the first few weeks there, I was a little hesitant. I was out in the field a lot of times, so I didn't see a whole lot of the things that were happening behind closed doors. But during that first month, we did some Moss U presentations, and I mean, seeing the people that they brought in and how willing they were to just put effort into us.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you not be committed when you have people on the sidelines that are doing anything and everything to make you better and just set you up for success in general? So,
do you remember the first Moss U presentation? Who was it?
Man, if I'm not mistaken, it was the Garrett that actually gave the first Moss U presentation.
Oh, okay.
And I believe it was just over Moss as a whole. You went into his dad and his company and kind of some of the struggles they developed over the early years. And that's kind of when I realized, oh man, the whole reason Moss U is a thing is because they're trying to bring people in and keep them. I mean, you think about loyalty and stuff like that. I mean, you bring someone in with little to no experience and give them all the tools they could possibly need for success and build them. I mean, those are going to be your most loyal people.
You know what I've noticed about Moss in particular is the dedication that Garrett has, because it's not at every company where the owner is this involved in the company, right? For
sure.
I've been at other companies and I'll see the owner here and there and they'll say hi and everything, but Garrett is involved, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
100%.
He cares. He cares about, the way our machines look, right? The big blue machine,
Yeah.
Seeing a big blue machine on a project, that's no one does that, what I mean? So to be the first, let's just say a utility contractor to do that and be that involved into a company says a lot, right? Because you don't see them 100%. Do that. To take time out of the day to present to a Moss U candidates or, that have been into this program says a lot, right? And so that, to me, that means a lot, right?
Yeah, and it's not even that he gave that presentation. That Garrett's one of those guys that even if you see him in the hallway, he's going to ask you, hey, man, what's going on? How's it going? And he might remember a conversation from a few weeks ago, and he's going to follow up on something he asked you about. I mean, whether it be kids, what's going on at home, that kind of thing. He's truly a very caring person, and just, I mean, it's not something you see a lot at a bunch of construction companies where the owner doesn't really come around a lot. And Garrett is always there. I mean, even when we first started Moss, he told every single one of us, hey, if you need anything, do not hesitate to call or text me and reach out. And that's coming from the owner of the company, not just my boss per se. And I don't know, something like that speaks volumes to me that, hey, you actually care about your people. And
Yeah. So you went from, let's bounce back to your first rotation. You went to Universal, right? Frisco, P117.
Yes, sir.
You went from that project working with Cristian, and then I think they transitioned you to another superintendent, correct?
From there, they transferred me to Giovanni. And with Giovanni, I went to see a couple really cool projects, some data centers and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. But did you see any difference between Giovanni and Cristian? Like as far as their interactions with the...
Yeah, obviously they handle day-to-days differently every day. But one thing I did notice that was very similar is how dedicated they are to the work they're doing, as well as to the guys that are under them. And I mean, obviously that means a lot. So having a boss that cares about you and what you're doing in life and just that kind of thing, it makes you feel more welcome, makes it feel more like a family environment and stuff. So I saw that from both Giovanni and Cristian, and it was something that was very welcoming and just made me excited to be here.
Yeah. What was your thoughts on being out in the field? Like, how does it, look now, looking back now that you're a PM here or assistant PM, right? You're an assistant PM here at Moss. Looking back, how did being out in the field help you?
Yeah, so I think it's one of those things that gives you a little bit of clarity. I mean, it makes you realize that those guys we have working out in the field are absolute rock stars. They bust their butt every day to get things done on time, done in a quality manner. And it's very humbling to see those guys work as hard as they do and do everything they do just to be as successful as possible. I mean, the level of dedication out in the field is unreal.
Yeah, because I remember there was a point where you were with Giovanni. You were with Giovanni, and if I'm not mistaken, you were at Red Oak.
Yeah.
And you were with Jose Castillo's crew, right?
Yes,
how was that? How was working with Jose Castillo? Because Jose Castillo is a great foreman. This guy knows his stuff.
Jose Castillo is a great foreman, and then as well as the guys on his crew are phenomenal. I mean, obviously, first few days, it's a little awkward meeting new people and stuff like that. But
normal.
After that first little phase, dude, those guys couldn't have been more accepting. I mean, they taught me any question I could have possibly had, whether there's language barrier there or not, they're going to help me figure out an answer for it. And I think that speaks volumes too. Even with a language barrier, those guys are more than willing to teach you anything and everything. Yeah. And I mean, it makes a man feel good about himself, feeling accepted, feeling like a part of a family. It was special.
So you say that, right? And I have my experience of being out in the field as a laborer, right? And I had a really good experience, right? Because the guys, just like you said, they were very welcoming. I was a young kid. I never brought lunch to work, right? so those guys, they had their wives. They would take them lunch, and they would look at me and they were like, "Hey, come get a taco," and I was like, "All right." It's like, "You sure?" They're like, "Yeah, come on," and we just gather around some shade, eat a taco. Did you have anything similar to that?
Yeah, I mean, often. There's one day where I think Jose bought lunch for all of us, and we all ate together. I mean, and that's a day-to-day thing. I mean, those guys out in the field, they eat lunch together every day. They're constantly talking to each other. And that's one thing about field work that I've noticed, it's hard, especially when I was out there. It was during the middle of summer, so we're talking
it was hot.
100+ degree heat, just brutal. But those guys, I mean, they're out there laughing, joking, having fun.
Yeah.
And I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
I bet you got a lot of these, right? You're like, "Hey, bring us some water."
Yeah, bring us some water, man, for sure. So constantly making runs to the cooler. But I mean, it was something special, seeing those crews and just the way they treat each other. And I don't know, man, it was special. It really was.
Looking at the plans now, and you being at the field, like you actually saw, like, the water line going in at a certain elevation, crossing whatever it was, right? So did that help you out as far as like now what you see as a PM or assistant PM?
Yeah, so a lot of times project managers, I mean, we don't get to go out into the field super often. A lot of time we're spent behind a computer staring at plans, that kind of thing. Having the opportunity to go look at those plans and then look at the material being installed in the field at the same time, I mean, that's some skill and knowledge that you just can't get sitting behind a computer.
Yeah.
There's ways things are done in the field that can't really necessarily be written on a piece of paper that makes sense. And being able to see that and then transferring it to what I do now, I mean, it couldn't be more of a help. It gives you a greater understanding of how things are actually being installed out there, not just how it looks on a plan.
Yeah, I mean, very well said. The plans behind a computer and actually doing the work is very different, right? Regardless of, the situations.
100%.
So you were out there for quite a time. I don't know, how long was the rotation for?
Yeah, so when I went through, Mossy was set at 1 year, so it was 4 months per rotation.
It's 4 months per rotation. So you're 4 months out in the field. So it was Cristian, Giovanni. Who else did you spend time with?
I got to spend time with just about all the superintendents, the general superintendents, Julio, Jose, some of the regular superintendents, Gerardo, Giovanni, Cristian, Cody, a couple others. So,
good old buddy, huh?
Yeah, good old buddy.
Good old buddy. Yeah, those are good guys, man. And I think it takes guys like that to really make it, like you said, fun to be here, right?
For sure.
Enjoy what you do, right? Nobody likes to go to work and not enjoy what you do, right?
Yeah, and then also just seeing their levels of commitment to what they're doing makes you want to be a part of it because you're being a part of something that's bigger. We're putting in all these obviously wet utilities for greater development of the community. And, being a part of a growing community as well as just being able to lend that helping hand, I mean, it moves you.
All right, so first rotation out in the field, superintendents, majority of the time. What was your next rotation after that?
Yeah, so after going out in the field, I moved into estimating. So I had a lot of fun there as well.
A lot of numbers.
So estimating wasn't really something I came into with previous experience or anything like that. I mean, the field rotation, previous job, field engineer, I was out in the field all day, every day.
Yeah.
So I was super excited and looking forward to going into the estimating side just because it was something I'd never seen before, never done before. So that's kind of where I was feeling when I moved into that side.
Did you work, I think a lot of stuff that you were doing were like takeoffs, right?
Yeah, takeoffs, putting together bids, looking at the bid calendar, see what's coming. Kind of just the basics more not putting together bids, but we weren't necessarily putting together bids, but helping out the estimators that were putting to those bids, doing the takeoffs for them, talking about them, what's going on, and then being there for them to teach us and tell them like, hey, I'm putting this amount of money in here for this. Hey, look out for that in the plans because things like that cost lots of money and it can have an effect on the bid. So being able to pick up on key details and stuff like that was super beneficial.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize how important it is to have that, not necessarily the field experience, but to really understand the field because, if you're out in the field, you can easily plug and play, numbers and what the work consists of, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, you're at this depth, there's more dirt to work with, there's bigger machines, there's more money involved, there's, more work that has to be has to be considered. Something as simple as your trench safety plan, right?
Yeah.
There's money that is involved with that. It's a cost, right?
Yeah.
So the estimators have to make sure that they have to put that money in there for that, right? They have to make sure that there's money in there for a bunch of things that a lot of people don't take into consideration, right?
Yeah, and that's one thing that really caught me off guard, coming from working in the field the majority of the time. You don't think about little things like that. So when you sit next to these estimators that are putting together bids and you see all these different line items that they're putting into it, trench safety, TV testing, inspections, stuff like that, it gives you a bit more of a larger perspective. You're like, oh man, when I was out in the field, I didn't think about these things costing money. I was more so just focused on putting it in the ground and getting into operating. And I mean, seeing that was kind of like a little bit of a wake up call almost. Like, oh man, there's a whole lot more moving parts in here than I originally thought there was.
Yeah, if those guys don't work, we don't have work, man.
Yeah, for
There's
sure.
no work for us.
For sure.
And I think that's what I really try to, tell the guys out in the field, convey that message that, like, without the estimators, we have no work, right? But we have to be able to, do the work. We have to be able to do the work out in the field so that they can bid those projects, right?
Yeah.
So our execution out in the field depends on how we bid those projects, essentially.
Yeah, and when I was in that estimating rotation, they summed it up for me really nice. You think about it, estimators are kind of like the hunter. They're going out there getting the kill, getting the project. And you got your PMs, they're cooking the meal, getting it ready. And then you got your superintendents who go out there and serve the meal, give it to the client, give it to the customer. And thinking about it like that, it kind of put things in perspective. I'm like, okay, actually, you know what? This makes a lot more sense now. So
yeah. I guess you like hunting.
Yeah, you could say so.
Yeah. I wish I grew up more into like that type. Like, my parents are both Hispanic, but like I wish I grew up like hunting, like shooting and maybe bow hunting or fishing. Like
it's a good time. Good time.
I can't even get Christian to take me hunting, so there's that. I mean that's great. It's a good perspective to put it in, right? Like, you're relating to it in the way that you understand it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So we go from superintendents, to the estimators, working with them. How was it? I think, a big face is like Edwin, right? How was it working with him?
Yeah, I mean, people like Edwin, John, those guys, I mean, they've been around here. They know what's going on. I think the biggest thing for me was how willing they were to teach you. It's not every day that you go somewhere and the people that are high up in that department are willing to pour into you.
Yeah.
But that's something I notice here is it doesn't matter who the person is at Moss. They are more than willing to pour everything they know into you. And to me, that means a lot. I mean, because you could just sit there behind your title, just do your work and not worry about anyone else. But the fact that you're willing to give in to your teammates that don't necessarily know as much as you, I mean, that speaks volumes about their character.
That's what I like about those guys is that they're very humble. Like Edwin, like I have nothing to do with the estimators, right? Like, essentially like their day in, day out work. But like Edwin is like super humble. John, like I'm like, hey man, we're using type 2 hard hats now. Like there's a cost for that. They're not, they're more expensive than what we're using before. There's a cost for that.
Yeah.
We have these projects where they're requesting the on-site safeties. There's a cost for that, and it's not cheap, right? So we got to make sure that these guys know this stuff. And, those guys are just humble. Like, they're not, they could have easily just said, hey, don't worry about it. I got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's like, oh, really? What's the average cost for, a hard hat, that's type 2? Or what's the cost for, an on-site safety, right? And how long and what are the requirements? And I'm like, it just all depends. Too many variables. Every GC is a little different. Every contract's a little different. You just kind of have to, plug the number in that makes the most sense.
Yeah, and I mean, those two guys both, our core value, always striving for constant growth. I mean, those guys embody it. I mean, with Edwin starting in the field, working his way up to where he is now, I mean, those guys are always striving for constant growth and also always striving to help the people around them grow. And, I mean, you can't beat that.
Yeah. What was your next transition or rotation from the estimators?
Yeah, so after estimating, we moved into project management. That was the last rotation I did. And during that rotation, I truly, truly fell in love with project management. And, I mean, it was great.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit more about what, that looks like being a project manager. I know that you weren't, essentially a project manager when you were in Moss U, right? But you were helping out a project manager, dealing with general contractors, receiving a project, handoffs, change orders, RFIs, all that good stuff. What was your experience with that, working with a project manager? I can't remember who you were working with.
Yeah, so project management, I was over in there with Ryan McBride. And one thing about project management, there's tons and tons of moving parts from permits, handoffs, plan reviews, change orders, RFIs, tons and tons of moving parts, little details, little things you got to pay attention to. And, that was something that was interesting to me. I was like, what? There's a lot to learn here, a lot to do. And then being around someone like Ryan McBride, who's even, doesn't matter necessarily how busy he is. He's more than willing to come over to my desk, like, hey, let's walk through this. Hey, you did this wrong. Try doing it this way next time. Just giving you ideas, things like that. I mean, it was awesome having someone there that I could rely on confidently and not worry about, oh, I'm being a bother, I'm being a nuisance. No, it wasn't like that at all. He was more than willing to be there and help me, teach me, things like that. And that was true in just about every rotation. So seeing things like that, it was great and very, very beneficial.
Nice. How many, I think it was like every other Friday y'all would have like presentations, right? What were your thoughts on those presentations? Like,
so Moss U and presentations were awesome. I mean, it's a great opportunity to dive deep into different ideas, different concepts, things like that. So going to some of those Moss U presentations, learning more about the proven process, how estimating works, project management, different details and stuff like that. I mean, they were all beneficial at the end of the day, right? Because, the whole idea of Moss U, right, is a pipeline to bring in people with little to no experience, and then by the end of the period of time that Moss U runs, to hopefully move them into a full-time role where they're doing something, whether it be assistant project manager, junior estimator, assistant superintendent, those kind of things. So going to those presentations about different things, or whether it be bonds, contracts, WIP, different things like that. It was just a great insight, time to sit down, digest a lot of the information that's coming in, and dive deep into certain topics and stuff like that. A good opportunity as well to just ask questions about things that you're confused about. So, I personally loved them. I thought they were great.
One of my, I was going to say one of my favorite ones, but one of the presentations that I attended, I just so happened to, hop in, was the JM Materials one.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was very surprised on, like, I can't remember the guy's name who was doing the presentation, but he was super knowledgeable on, like, all the dirt, the sand, the gravel, the size of the gravel, and, what cities accept and what they don't accept and all that good stuff. It was very interesting because nobody really thinks about, like, how intricate it is to be able to deliver a product that a customer needs.
Yeah, and it's one thing you don't think about a lot when you're out in the field. You're installing pipe, you're putting rock around it, sand around it.
Why?
You're not thinking about, why are we using this rock?
Yeah.
Why are we using this sand?
Yeah.
And to be able to bring someone in that can explain those different things and the different purposes behind the different materials as well. It was wonderful. It answers a lot of questions that people are confused about. Just gives you a little bit more insight and just overall makes you a more well-rounded person.
Yeah, those guys are great. I think Moss has built a really good relationship with them. Yeah. I think there was a project, I was out in, I think it was like Marine Creek or something. It was out in Fort Worth. Yeah. And JM Materials stopped by, and I think it was, I can't remember what he does over there, but he showed up, and even to our guys, like, he opened up his tailgate, pulled out a cooler of Gatorade and waters, and he was like, hey, he brought all the Moss guys that were on that project. And everybody was getting drinks, man. Yeah. Like, I just, speaks volume of the relationships that we build with them, right? That guy didn't care who grabbed the drink. He's like, hey, take two, take three, and it's really cool, just seeing them, and doing that Moss presentation for you guys, just to kind of see the bigger picture here at Moss. Right?
Yeah, and I feel like that's one thing that's Moss is super good at. Obviously, one of the biggest things we have here is culture. And that doesn't just involve just the employees. That involves our suppliers as well as our customers. We want everyone to feel welcomed and appreciated. And at the end of the day, it's one of those things that just makes us better as a whole. You know?
So I know that Moss U, you can kind of, quote unquote, kind of compare it to like a internship type deal, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But if you really think about it, there's not that many utility contractors that have a, program, of their own that they want to build people in, right?
Yeah.
If you could send a message out to somebody that wants to join this program or, apply for this program, what would you tell them?
Yeah. And, I think thinking of it as an internship isn't necessarily right. I say that because, we're giving you the opportunity to go see the field, estimating, project management, to go see all these different aspects of what's going on at Moss, and then hopefully setting you up to go into a position that you either want to be in or you think you'll fit best in, right? With the end goal of going into a position. A lot of internships, it's not necessarily that you're going to move into a full-time role after it. You're just kind of there for the experience, to kind of get a feel of things. But I feel like what Moss does really good about Moss U is it's a brand new pipeline to bring in people with little to no experience. You look at Dee, Maurice, they both came from very different backgrounds, nothing to do with construction at all.
Yeah.
And to be able to bring those guys in, give them all the tools and resources they could possibly need to learn how this business operates and to move into a full-time role after that. To me personally, that's unheard of. I've never seen a company do something like that, and it's truly special.
And there's definitely a need for people in construction.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
And very, very few in between. Do you hear that there's a kid that's graduating high school that says, I want to do construction?
Yeah, 100%.
Right? What we do, I want to be a ditch digger, right? I want to, operate a machine. Yeah. They don't really think about that. So there's definitely a shortage of, people that want to get into construction in general. And, let's get even more detailed into utility contractor, right? There's not that many people that want to do it. So the fact that we're opening this new pipeline, to your point, of people to bring into this business and grow is unheard of, right?
Yeah,
so that
100%.
Just, so transitioning to your role now, right? You got hired on fully to a assistant project manager. What were your thoughts about, getting hired on board,
Yeah, so with project management being the last rotation in Moss U, obviously I fell in love with it then. So transitioning from Moss U to just being an assistant project manager honestly wasn't that hard because the role I was already kind of filling in as a Moss U candidate was already technically what an assistant project manager. So that transition was super easy. But what also really helped about that is I had this previous 4 months field rotation where I gained a bunch of knowledge about what we're doing, as well as that previous 4-month estimating rotation where I had all that knowledge. And then I was able to put those all together and then move into that project manager role and just have a greater understanding of how things are being done out in those different departments, and just truly just gives you a better understanding. Like I said, gives you a better skill set, and it's just super beneficial.
Yeah. So the proven process was proven, and you ended up in a position that you wanted to be in, right?
Yeah,
and best fit in, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's great, man, to hear that. You've been through Moss U. I know it's a new program, but it works, right? It works. I know it's very time consuming. I know it's a lot of work. It's not easy, right? Because these guys, let's just go back to the superintendents. Superintendents already have their job that they have to do, right?
Yep.
The general superintendents, the estimators, they already have their job that they're doing, and then additionally trying to help you guys out to be successful, right? Yeah. So that says a lot. You know what I mean? But, overall success, with Moss U program, the proven process, it's there for a reason, right?
Yeah, and I think I can speak for a lot of our Moss U candidates, Dee, Maurice, Kelvin, that went through that first rotation. We were really, truly the guinea pigs of it. But I think after those first few weeks when we realized and saw how much effort other people in the company are putting into this to make us better and to train us and teach us, I think it all kind of changed our ideas and mindset on it and truly allowed us to just fully commit and be a sponge and just absorb everything that they were teaching us, as well as also gave us a willingness to be there for the next round of Moss U that was to come about to help make the program greater from our personal experience, what we've experienced when we went through it, and then use that to kind of help build it for the next round of people that are coming through. So the end goal is, obviously as MOSU continues and grows, that it's only going to get better.
Yeah.
Right? The more people that go through it, the more trial and error. I mean, it's only uphill from here, and it's super special and something a lot of us want to be a part of, even after completing the whole rotation. I mean, and that it means a lot to me, MOSU personally, and it's something I plan on being a part of for as long as I am here.
That's great, man. That's great. I think everybody loves you here. I think you're hardworking. I know that being young and coming in on early days and leaving on late on a Friday or something, it's not that many kids are willing to do that nowadays. They're ready for 3:30 to come around and just be able to clock out.
Yeah, and obviously being younger, I have a little bit of that mindset. But then you come to a place like this, Moss, and you just see how willing and dedicated everyone is surrounding you. It makes it super easy to put those long days in, those extra hours, because at the end of the day, everybody else is doing it.
Yeah.
And it feels good to get things done, especially here, because, these guys are going to reward you for it.
Yeah.
We work hard, but we also play hard, too.
There you go. Play hard. Work hard, play hard. Well, man, I appreciate you coming on today. A big face with the MOSU. Hopefully we can get more people to come in through the MOSU program and excel and, be able to fill those positions that, this industry is, struggling to get people in, right? Because there's not that many people that want to do it. But thank you for coming on. I
appreciate it. Yeah. I love talking about MOSU. It's something different, not something you'll see every day. Not at every company, and it's truly special.
Yeah.
So
I'll see you on the pickleball court.
Yes, sir.